friends. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Let's talk books with Shannon. We are going to go over all the books that I read in January. I had a very exciting month. So as we go, please remember to hit subscribe, hit like, leave me comments. I love interacting with you. And we'll jump in. I read 13 books this month. In my beginning of the month TBR video, we picked 8 books from the spinning wheel, and I read 7 of those 8 books. I had 4 5-star reads this month. Woohoo! And I did have 1 DNF, boo. And then all the other 8 books kind of fell in between. So we'll get started and talk about the books in the order in which I finished them. So first book on the list, I read Chloe Walsh's Saving Six from the Boys of Tommen series. I read Binding and Keeping 13 last year, Johnny and Shannon's story, and this is a continuation of that series. In this one, we're following Joey, who is Shannon's older brother, and Joey's been abused his whole life, and he has to take care of all of his younger siblings because his parents are not worth anything. And he meets Aoife in secondary school. I think they're 12 when they meet, and they immediately have a bond, and they strike up a friendship that carries them through many years, and then they finally do become boyfriend and girlfriend. Their story starts here. It's 2 books long, so I'm going to read the second book next month probably, because I'm very excited. I gave this book 5 stars. I absolutely love this series and these books. I don't know how Chloe Walsh does it, but I'm so attached to them. And this is the first half of that book, and I have to see Aoife and Joey get their happy ending, and I need to see it soon. So I am planning on reading that one in February. These books are a very emotional roller coaster. Please check trigger warnings if you're going to read them. The other thing I want to mention, just because they are sold in Barnes & Noble as young adult books, and I just think that's inappropriate, so I think it's worth a mention here. These books are not for 14 and 15-year-olds. New adult, yes. 18 and older, absolutely. But these books are full of trauma and drug addiction and bullying and some sexual abuse. And yeah, so not for young adults as they are marketed. So just know that if you're a parent. I have a couple of quotes. Aoife Malloy had a heart of gold and was hellbent on handing it over to a piece of shit like me. She was my momentary escape from all of the fucking dark. It's one of Joey's great quotes in this book. Another one. This one's from Aoife. I never knew devastation until he walked into my world and gave me a glimpse into his. So some great quotes from that book. Love, love, love this series. I just need to take some breaks because it's a lot. Okay. And both of these, the next one I read was Thrive by Krista and Becca Ritchie. But both of these books are not plot driven. They do not have big plots in them. So they are character driven books. So just know that going in. If you don't like those kind of books, they may not be for you. So I read Thrive by Krista and Becca Ritchie. And this is the 6th book in the Addicted series. In this one, we're following Lily and Lo in recovery. Lily has been addicted to sex, and Lo's been addicted to alcohol throughout this series. In this one, they're both in recovery. The tabloids are saying that Lily is in a threesome with Lo and his brother Reich. So they're dealing with that, even though that's not true. They have to kind of sift through all of that. There's a lot of turmoil between Reich and Lo in this one as well. I'm really starting to love these books more. The more I read them, the more I really like them. I feel like this book, really, I was starting to understand Lo a lot better. And I feel like this book does a great job of putting you in the world of recovering from addiction. The writing is really great. A quote from this one. I gave this book 4.25 stars, by the way. A quote. I'm going to love Lily how I want to love her, overwhelmingly, uncompromisingly. That one's from Lo. Another one. I'm beginning to realize that we only see fragments of people. Okay. 4.25 stars on that one. So we started off great in the beginning of January. The next book I read was The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Lori Gilmore. I do not have a physical copy of this one. I borrowed it from the library, so I will flash it up there for you. In this book, we're following Hazel and Noah in a very small town, and Hazel feels like she hasn't really, she's 29, she's going to be 30, and she feels like she hasn't really lived her life. She feels like she hasn't done anything really fun or exciting in her 20s. So she decides she's going to try and do that. She is the manager of a bookstore, and she finds some books that are earmarked and highlighted. And so she finds these messages that are starting to appear in the books, and she decides to follow the trail. She gets help from the local fisherman, whose name is Noah, who has always had a crush on her. And as a result of following clues, they start dating a little bit, and they just have this summer of fun. I gave this book 3.75 stars. I really enjoyed it. I know a lot of people have panned it. Please know these books are spicy. That book was spicy. I know you look at the cover and it's like, oh, this wholesome little, cozy little romance. No, I mean, it is, but it's also spicy. There's a lot of spice in these books. So I gave this book 3.75 stars. I really liked Hazel and Noah's relationship. I thought their summer of fun was cozy and sweet. I thought they had a great connection. I just try not to overthink these. It was fast paced. I love the cover. So I enjoyed it. And I'm going to continue on with that series. I know that Laura Gilmore has a couple more. I read the Pumpkin Spice Cafe last year, and I know I haven't read the Christmas one yet, but there's a few more coming out this year. So I will probably pick those up as well. A quote from that book. I love this. Noah says, "I was prepared to read every damn book in the bookstore just to spend more time with you." Another one. Maybe she hadn't needed to change her life. Maybe she just needed to change how she saw life and how she saw herself. Just this one, because it was so relatable to me, this quote. I always bring a book just in case. And I thought, oh, that's me. So anyway, that one was 3.75 stars. I really enjoyed that one. Okay, the next book I finished was The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. This one I had mixed feelings about, kind of some pros and cons. Let me tell you what this one's about. Bree is was a ballerina until she had an accident, and now she has a dance studio. Nathan has always been her best friend, and he's a pro football player. And they both have been secretly in love with each other forever. So this is kind of a friends to lovers, fake dating trope. And the pros of this book, first of all, let me just say, I listened to the audio on this. Don't do that. I did not like the audio of this book for some reason. The girl I didn't like the girl narrator for Brianna at all. But I think that kind of tainted. I listened to the first half, and then the second half I switched to the physical copy and enjoyed it more than that. But I had some pros and cons about this one. I love Nathan. I thought he was the perfect boyfriend. I love that men's mental health was represented in this book and represented well. I thought the ending was super, super cute in this book. And I loved all of Nathan's teammates. I thought they were great fun and great side characters. The cons to this book for me, I thought Brianna was too immature, and the miscommunication went on too long. And like I said, I didn't like the audiobook. The narrator for the FMC bothered me quite a bit. I don't know if that would be the case for everyone, but anyway, so those were some of the cons. I ended up giving this book 3.25 stars. A good quote from it: "Your soul is my favorite in this entire world." I love that. Okay, the next 5-star. Woohoo! Alive and Wells by Bailey Hannah. I gave this book 5 stars. I loved it. This is a cowboy romance, small town, and a first-time read for this author. This is actually romantic suspense, by the way. We follow Cecily, who flees from an abusive husband. She has been online secretly with a group of abused people, some sort of group therapy. And one of the girls online says, "Hey, where I work, when you're ready to get away, there's a spot for you there." And so she takes that and she gets there to this small ranch, and she meets grumpy owner Austin, who also struggles with his past. He's got some issues there, but sparks fly between them. I loved this small town cowboy romance. I am a cowboy romance girl. I'm not a cowboy in real life, but boy, I love cowboy romances. So, Austin is grumpy at first, of course, but what a protector and lots of character growth. Found family, grumpy sunshine tropes. Definitely continuing the series. Fast paced. It wasn't that long. Under 300 pages, just under 290 something. Love that. Love this. A quote from this book. Wear the hat, ride a cowboy. Austin says, she's the sunshine of this ranch, bringing light into the parts of me that I thought I'd always keep hidden in the dark. 5 stars. Wells Ranch series, book 1. Loved it. Okay. All right. The next book I read on my Kindle, so I will pop the picture up. I don't have a physical copy, was The Playbook by Rebecca Jenshak. I read The Burnout last year, the end of last year, and by her. And this is kind of continuing that series. They're standalones, though. You don't have to read them in order. And this one, you're following Brogan. He's a rookie NFL player and a bit of a playboy. Women swoon over him. And then we have London, who keeps getting his fan mail because she now has his old P.O. box. And she sends emails to him to try and get it corrected because she's getting all kinds of his fan mail and women who are saying stuff that she doesn't want anything to do with. She's getting underwear in the mail. It's gross. But anyway, so she tries to get it corrected, and then he doesn't respond and he doesn't correct it. So she runs into him at a bar and gives him a piece of her mind. So she's all upset. So this one is kind of a grumpy sunshine in reverse. She's the one who's grumpy in this, and he's all happy-go-lucky. And it's a sports romance, and there's a nice found family in it. It's lighthearted. It's fun. It's great banter. I gave this book 4.25 stars, and there was lots of character growth in this one for him, and her, but which I always appreciate. So we have a quote: when people don't love us the way we want to be loved, we decide it's our own character flaw, but it's not. It just means someone else is out there waiting for you, ready to love you in all the ways that you deserve. The next book I read was Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is about a rise and fall of a rock band in the 70s. It's a fictional story. It is written in transcript of interviews of the band members and all the people involved with them. I like this book. I gave this book 4.25 stars. I typically like Taylor Jenkins Reid as an author. It's a good look at excess and indulgence that came with fame during that time frame. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. And the format was a little hard for me to get used to at first because they're all just separate interviews. But overall, 4.25, solid read. Oh, let me see if I have a quote for that. I do. You're all sorts of things you don't even know yet. I love that one. It seemed like there wasn't anything about me, any truth that I could tell him that he wouldn't accept. Acceptance is a powerful drug, and I should know because I've done them all. So, good book. She has another new one coming out this year, which I'm excited about. All right, here comes my DNF. All right, I read The Nanny by Lana Ferguson. Now, let me just say that I had previously read a Lana Ferguson book and loved it. I read The Game Changer last year, and it's a hockey romance, and I gave it, I think, 4.25 stars. Love that book, and which is why I decided to pick up another one of her books. I got about 40% through, and then just said this one's not for me. And it has a online sex account. The woman in it, her name I forget now, Cassie, has an online sex account, and where men can come online and watch her and tell her to do things, and she does it. And the whole thing with it being strangers, and it was like someone different every night that she did this with, I don't know, it just bothered me. So I just decided at 40%, like, oh, I'm not gonna waste my time. So, but I will definitely read more of her. I love the first one I read from her. I think it was just that one concept in this book that really bothered me. So I put this one down and gave that one a DNF. Okay. Next book I finished, Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. Yes. And this one is kind of a murder mystery about a family gathering at a ski resort, and a body is found dead in the snow. So I thought this one was interesting and amusing. The narration was fun. The narrator talks to the reader. He often speaks directly to the reader. And I thought that was different and a lot of fun. I was confused. Sometimes I did listen to the audio on this one, and it was fine. But I was confused as to how conclusions were being drawn sometimes. So anyway, I ended up giving this one 3 stars. And I have a quote from that one. Let me see. Family is not whose blood runs in your veins. It's who you'd spill it for. Everyone in my family has killed someone. Some of us, the high achievers, have killed more than once. Which is amusing. It had some amusing parts. Kind of a witty take on a whodunit. That's how I would describe it. Next book I finished was Collided by Lauren Asher. This book is the second book in the Dirty Air series. This one follows race car drivers. They are romance books, found family, sports romance, commitment phobia, all in these books. Liam is a superstar race driver and a bit of a playboy, or has a playboy image. And there's a reason, he has a history of why he doesn't want a committed relationship. And he ends up falling for the opposing team's manager's daughter, Sophie. Ended up starting a friends with benefits relationship, and it kind of goes from there. I am enjoying this series. It's a little too much spice for my taste, but overall a good time. I thought the epilogue in this one was super cute. The prologue and chapter 1, I thought gave you great insight. So I liked what she did with the prologue and chapter 1 because it gave you great insight into what the characters have dealt with in the past. A quote from this one, I gave this one 4 stars. Her eyes twinkle, light reflecting off them like she stole the stars she loves so damn much. Why do you keep ignoring our chemistry, he says. And she says, because I don't want to ruin something good for something temporary. Because they do become good friends in this. Okay, I like this one just because it was, again, relatable to me. He says he's a reader, and he says, everyone knows books are better than the movies. And she says, says who? And he says everyone who reads books. It's true. Okay. Almost always. All right. My next one was a 5-star read and a new author for me, which I was very excited about. Bourbon and Lies. Look at that cover. That is awesome. I love this cover. Victoria Wilder is the author of this book, and I absolutely loved it. This was a 5-star read for me. It is a small town, grumpy sunshine trope. It takes place in Kentucky, a small town in Kentucky, on a bourbon farm. The Bourbon Brothers, as they call them, run the farm and make bourbon. And the girl, Lainey, is in the witness protection program and ends up being placed at this small town whiskey or bourbon farm. And she, of course, has a history because she's in WITSEC and she has secrets to keep from everyone and she can't let them out. Grant, who is the main male character in this, is an ex-cop, and he has a history of trauma in his past with the death of his girlfriend. She was also a cop, and she died in the line of duty. So when she comes onto the farm and she lives across the street, Lainey lives across the street from Grant when she moves in, and they immediately butt heads. And the banter and the sparks are flying. I love this book. Love the concept. Love the bourbon farm. Love the dog Julep. He is delightful. I always love a good pet in the stories. I loved all the characters. I cannot wait for book 2. 5 stars. Okay, quote. Lainey, there's no way that being your friend will be enough for me. And another one. I'm telling you from one hardened heart to another that no matter what happened, you're allowed to find good things. Next one, also a 5-star for me. Yay! Behind the Net by Stephanie Archer. This was actually my first Stephanie Archer book. I love a good sports romance, and this certainly qualified as that. This was 5 stars. We have Jamie, and he is in the NHL. He's a goalie, and he needs an assistant to help take care of his dog. And because he has a sick mom he also cares for, and he just can't manage everything in his life right now, so he gets that assistant. When Pippa is the name of the assistant, when she shows up at his house, he realizes that she is someone he had a crush on in high school. And of course, Pippa always had a crush on Jamie as well. And they don't tell each other that right off the bat, of course. Oh, and Pippa's always wanted to be a singer, and she's just out of a bad relationship. And her boyfriend was a singer. She was always on the road with him. So, Jamie is just delightful in this. He's always encouraging her to sing and to find her way back to what she loves. I had such a great time. Love both main characters. Mental health was portrayed beautifully in this book. Love Daisy the dog. Good quote. Anyone who has done anything bold has naysayers. How can anyone ever say yes to you if you say no to yourself first? Great book. Okay, all right. My last book that I just finished, big chunky one, A Court of Wings and Ruin. Okay, this was by Sarah J. Maas. This is the third book in the ACOTAR series. Last year was my first year getting into fantasy. I read the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, and I started the ACOTAR series, and I read some standalone fantasies as well. So this book I gave 3.25 stars. I did enjoy it. In this one, we have Feyre, who's returned to the Spring Court to gather information about the king that is planning on invading. A lot of the book is preparing for war, and it is action-packed with war scenes. It was slow for me because of that. So much preparing for war, and then even the war scenes. I'm just like, okay, that hasn't been my favorite part of this series. It's been more the romantasy part. And I thought the ending, by the way, was great. I love the ending. It just was a little slow for me. So I did end up giving this book 3.25 stars. Okay, good quote. There's a couple good, I had several good quotes in there. Kindness can thrive even amongst cruelty. Another good one. We are all broken in our own ways, in places no one might see. What we think to be our greatest weakness can sometimes be our biggest strength. So yes, so we got through that one, and I'm going to take a break before I read any more of this series again, because, well, the next one I think is the short one. It's about the holidays, but the last book is every bit this thick. So I think that I'm going to hold off a little while and just take a break from that series, and I'll get back to it, though. I do want to finish it. I'm not going to DNF the series, but I just kind of need a break from it. So that was my January wrap-up. I am excited. We had a good first month, and I'm looking forward to a good second month. So thank you, friends. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, and leave me comments if you've read these books, or any other comments. I love interacting with you. So until next time, please take care of each other, and happy reading.